Hello, Dave Franklin here from Dave MCT LLC, and I'm here now to talk about and demonstrate Windows 11, this new preview operating system that Microsoft released at the end of June of 2021. As I had mentioned before in my previous video on this, where I installed it from an ISO file that had all the basic preview bits, but I had mentioned that Windows 11 will be a free upgrade from Windows 10. So if you think back in the period when Windows 10 first came out, they did the same thing from both Windows 7 and Windows 8.1. I think Windows 8 was excluded from this because they wanted you to first upgrade to Windows 8.1 if you had Windows 8, and then from there you could do the free upgrade to Windows 10. But here we're talking about now doing a free upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11. That hasn't happened yet, obviously. It's a pre-release. So we're still seeing it in its embryonic stage, where they haven't completed all of the various features that Windows 11 will have, and then release it to the public, which at that time you'll be able to, if you have Windows 10, do a free upgrade to Windows 11. Now, having said that, there's a way we can do an upgrade from Windows 10 right now, and that is if we are part of the Windows 10 Insider program. So speaking of the Windows 10 Insider program, there are separate programs. There's a Windows Dev for Developer Insider program, and there's also a Windows Server Insider program. But we're just looking at the Windows 10 Insider program from now. So what does this allow you to do? Well, as it says here, you can be the first to see what's next. What is Microsoft doing next in their various feature upgrades, for example, within Windows 10? And these all come out twice a year, since it's called the semi-annual channel. The new feature upgrades are released, and they're generally released to everybody over a long period of time. And even so, you can manipulate how long you have to have before you actually install them. And it depends on a lot of different things. Additionally, you would, as a Windows 10 Insider, help shape Windows' future. In other words, you get to see what they're proposing, what they want to adopt. You can then, in the fourth bullet here, give vital feedback. So there's a feedback hub we can go into, and we can let, as Windows Insiders, the program managers know whether you like something, whether you didn't like something, whether it worked on your particular setup and environment. They're very, very responsive to the feedback hub items. They will, for example, if you're having a particular problem installing some feature, and it might turn out to be your hardware, they will get in touch with you and ask you to specify the hardware set you get and give them more information so they can see if there's something you can do at your end. Maybe it's just simply go to a updated device driver. Or maybe it just won't work with your hardware, and that's something Microsoft really needs to know. I mean, when you think about it, how many different hardware sets can there be out there with all the different motherboards and all the various embedded features now on motherboards, such as sound cards, video, even networking? Well, a lot of that in the past used to be kept on individual cards that would put into a slot. But more and more motherboard vendors have actually made that an embedded part of their motherboard. So what you're going to have, instead of having to put in a video card, you'll see there's a video port on the motherboard. And you can just, it's a HDMI, for example, just plug into that. Or DVI or something like that. So that's becoming more and more common. So you'll see fewer and fewer individual cards, if you will, as peripherals or devices doing things, but they still exist. Plus, we got a whole slew of USB, FireWire, and these USB, of course, the different standards, USB 3, USB-C, and all these other different things. So what it comes down to is we have this plethora of different devices physical devices that can be plugged into a computer, and each one will need a separate working environment with the correct device drivers and the operating system. So Microsoft might propose a change, put it into a feature, push this out, only to find that there's a subset of users out there who have a device that it just won't work with this new feature. And that's also what the Windows 10 Insider program is about. And your ability to give feedback is very important to this, to let them know, hey, I got this hardware that's not working. You need to fix this, or you need to give it up and don't do it. So there's a lot of feedback given to Microsoft, and Microsoft replies to that feedback. It's a very nice environment to be in, but you have to be a Windows 10 Insider to do it. So how do you become a Windows 10 Insider? Well, you register your Microsoft account with Microsoft into the Windows Insider program. There's also, I should say one other, there's a Windows Insider program for business, where if you have a work account, in other words, you have Microsoft 365, the Office 365, Azure Active Directory, you can join that account too to the Windows Insider program for business. Once you register your account, you would just accept the terms that they have for a program agreement and private statement and submit it, and you will be part of the Windows 10 Insider program. It's a little more than this, though, because now you have to take your Windows 10 computer and join it to the program as well. So you, as an individual, and your Windows account becomes part of it, your Microsoft account, I should say. What that means is you will register your own Microsoft account, so you're part of the Windows 10 Insider program. But you also need a Windows 10 computer that you have. It can be a virtual machine. That's not common, though. Normally, it's going to be your particular hardware for that computer. The downside to this will be that that computer will get a lot of updates. They won't happen semi-annual. They'll happen multiple times a month, maybe even multiple times in a week. So as Microsoft makes the feature, they push it out immediately to the insiders to see how it works and get that vital feedback we talked about. So Microsoft has this thing for the Insider program known as flighting. And flighting is the process of running the Windows 10 Insider preview builds on your own device. When you run these early versions of Windows and give Microsoft feedback, you help them shape the future of Windows. This is the whole program I was just referring to. There are, within the Insider preview area, these different channels. Each of these channels are designed to bring you to a different experience based on the quality of Windows you need for your life and your device. So the three channels are Dev Channel, Beta Channel, and Release Preview Channel. Which one should you choose? Well, there are four main factors you have to consider. How stable you need the device to be, what level of issues you can handle on your device, how early in development you'd like to see features and changes, and finally, whether or not you need Microsoft support. That brings us back to the reasons you become an insider. So look at that. You want to be the first to see what's next. You want to help shape Windows' future and give feedback. The bullets on this slide. So for those people who want to be first to see what next, you probably want everything, right? You want the Dev Channel fast and skip ahead rings, or at least the release preview ring, as shown here. Now, having said that, let's talk about what these different channels give us. So the Dev Channel is basically for highly technical users who love to be the first to see the latest features and update all things Windows. It will get builds that are earliest in development cycle with the latest work in progress code from Microsoft engineers. Now, these builds aren't always stable, and sometimes you'll see issues that block key activities or require workarounds while flighting in this channel. These builds aren't matched to a specific release, which means these may simply be the latest work in progress code from Microsoft engineers. New features and operating system improvements in this channel will show up in future Windows 10 releases when they're ready. and Microsoft may deliver them as a full operating system build update or a servicing release. However, your feedback here will help these engineers with major fixes and changes to the latest code, and frankly, whether or not it even will be fielded to an actual Windows 10 release. Now, the beta channel is for early adopters and IT professionals who want to see what's next or validate the latest Windows update and features, but still need reliable updates that are validated by Microsoft. Now, as part of the beta channel, you'll be seeing builds tied to a specific upcoming release, like 20H1 or 20H2. Your feedback will be especially important here, since it will help Microsoft's engineers make sure that key issues are fixed before major release. Finally, we have the Release Preview channel. In the Release Preview channel, insiders and IT professionals get the upcoming version of Windows before it's released to the world, with advanced quality updates and certain key features. These builds are also supported by Microsoft if you're in the Windows Insider program for business. So let me just talk for a quick second about a use case you might have for the Release Preview channel or even a beta channel. And that would be you're an IT professional and it's your job to support end users' Windows 10 computing systems or devices. You don't want to have some update happen that's going to just devastate, possibly, it's rare but it can happen, your environment, and then you're in reactive mode trying to fix it or roll back these type of incidents that can happen. I can tell you this, my experience has been that when an update goes bad, it's almost always devoted to updated device drivers. That is the key to a lot of systems not working with an update. So if you do not update the device drivers, and that can be turned off as a separate thing depending on the channel you're in, and even in the channel you might be in when you're just getting the normal releases. That is not part of the Windows 10 Insider program, or just Windows 10 semi-annual channel releases and such. So you can turn off the device drivers. So you can turn off the device drivers updates that can come with the various updates that we get, whether feature or the normal monthly updates. Having said that, of course, by turning off getting the updated device drivers, you don't get the updated device drivers. And while that sounds kind of redundant, think about what that means. If there's a problem with a particular device driver and there's an update that fixes it, you won't get it. Or if there's an update to a device driver that adds more features to that device, then you won't get that as well. And finally, these device driver updates aren't written by Microsoft. They're written by the various vendors who make the hardware. They're then sent to Microsoft, and Microsoft tests them in the Microsoft Labs, but they only test the device driver in the aspect of does it affect the operating system by introducing any type of harm or security breach. After all, when you think about it, the device driver can talk directly to the hardware, and that's low level through the kernel. And we want to keep, as much as possible, kernel-type activity away from the end user, right? That's part of our modern security world that we have. No one user account should be able to ever affect the kernel. That has to be requested, permissions have to be given, the elevation of privilege that we have, and using UAC and all kinds of things controls that. So they're just ensuring that that doesn't occur with a device driver. Once they've made that determination that it doesn't occur, they digitally sign the device driver and they put it in the update site for folks who have those devices to get it. If there's other things that the device driver can screw up, including the device, they're not really testing for that. It would add so much extra work to the Microsoft Labs to do this, they probably couldn't keep up with all the device driver updates that are coming from the various vendors. And it would just take, in some cases, years to get those through the hardware lab tests. it really is a trade-off between getting stuff as quickly to end users as possible, but also making sure things don't break the system. And probably the delta between that is going to be the fact that there are still some device drivers that do weird things that wouldn't come up with that type of specific test at Microsoft Labs. Having said that, and going back to what I was saying before, for the beta channel and the release preview channel, as an IT professional, someone who supports, as part of your job, Windows 10 clients, you probably want to see these updates, all the different updates, long before they're going to be released to your end users. You want to test them. You might have a number of computers within your IT department that just are set up in different ways. I've done this before. So you have one that's set up with all the finance software and access that finance uses, and then sales. Maybe there's some type of customer relationship program, management program you have, or inventory database access, or whatever you have on different Windows 10 computers that are set up to mock, basically, or imitate the normal, typical business department and various needs that you have in your company. Then you make these part of the Windows 10 Insider program, either the beta channel or the release preview, and then as releases come out, you test them and see, does it hurt my system? What is going to be the impact to my end users? And this is just a great way, and it's very a proactive way to really deal with Windows updates. In the next video, what I'm going to do is take a Windows 10 computer running as a Hyper-V client on a Hyper-V server, and we're going to join it to the Windows 10 Insider program. And then we're going to use the Windows 10 Insider program to find there is actually a Windows 11 beta release that acts as an upgrade for Windows 10, and apply that to that computer and see what comes out on the other side. I will say goodbye for now, and we'll be back with another video that shows this.